There was once a Britain where childhood needed no schedules, no supervision, and very few rules. A Britain where front doors stayed unlocked, parents trusted the streets, and children learned the world not through screens, but through scraped knees, muddy shoes, and the lessons delivered by life itself. This was the Britain where many grew up largely on their own terms. A Britain where the phrase, "Go out and don't be late," was often the only guidance needed, and sometimes the only warning given. Today, we step back into that world, a time when Britain raised its children differently, not through manuals, experts, or online advice, but through experience, community, and a freedom many would struggle to imagine today. Chapter 1: A doorway, a street, and a world of adventure. For many children in the 1950s, 60s, and 70s, childhood truly began the moment the front door shut behind them. There were no text messages checking in, no GPS tracking, no hourly updates. Parents expected children to explore, and they did. Some went to fields, some to alleyways. Some simply followed where the group wandered. Each street had its own rules. Each neighborhood had its territories, and sometimes its rival playgrounds. Children discovered the world at their own pace, and with every risk taken and every mistake made, they grew. Outside was where lessons were learned, friendships formed, and independence earned. The world wasn't polished, it wasn't padded, and that was precisely how children became resilient. Chapter 2: The unofficial ritual of disappearing for hours. Today's parents might panic if their child didn't answer a phone call, but decades ago, children disappeared for entire days, and it was completely normal. You went out after breakfast. Sometimes you returned for lunch, if you remembered. Sometimes you didn't. The rule wasn't stay where I can see you. It was simply be home when the streetlights come on. The streetlight was universal. It wasn't spoken, it was understood. No one needed reminding. The moment those lights flickered on, the scramble home began, often with one more game squeezed in along the way. Chapter 3: Friendships made in real time. There was no adding friends with a button. No typing, bubble, no waiting for replies. Friendship was built outdoors, on pavements, fields, parks, and playgrounds. Sometimes groups were formed simply because someone lived on the same street. Other times, because someone owned a football. Arguments happened quickly, and so did forgiveness. One minute there was shouting, the next everything was forgotten, and the game continued. There was a raw honesty in childhood back then. No filters, no online performance. Just real conversations, real laughter, and real silences. And if someone fell out with the group, they knew this. You'd either make peace or find a new set of friends before the day was over. Chapter 4: The unspoken code of danger and discovery. Children learned risk not from warnings, but from experience. Climbing trees wasn't discouraged. It was expected. Scrapes, splinters, and bruises weren't seen as emergencies. They were badges of honor. Swings went higher, walls were climbed. Bikes weren't carefully ridden, they were tested. Many learned the limits of speed when the pavement stopped them abruptly. And for better or worse, safety equipment was minimal. Helmets, rare, knee pads, unheard of. A watchful adult, only if they happened to stroll past. Looking back, many laugh and say, It's a miracle we survived. But perhaps survival wasn't luck. Perhaps it was resilience built through experience. Chapter 5, Small Money and Big Freedom. Pocket money wasn't large, but it was powerful. A few pennies could buy sweets, stickers, crisps, or trading cards. Children learned budgeting long before anyone used that word. Do you spend everything today, or save enough to buy something bigger next week? Shops weren't just stores. They were destinations. The newsagent, the corner shop, the sweet shop with glass jars lined like colorful treasure chests. Every purchase felt intentional. Every treat felt earned. Freedom wasn't measured in wealth, but in the ability to make decisions independently. Chapter 6, Home was a base, not a container. Today, many homes are entertainment hubs, filled with screens, devices, games, and distractions. But decades ago, the home was simply a place to start and end the day. Children ate meals there. They slept there. But most of the day was spent outside. Parents didn't plan schedules or book activities. No clubs every evening. No constant supervision or coordination. Life unfolded naturally, relaxed, unhurried, instinctive. Even boredom had a purpose, because when there was nothing to do, children created something. Chapter 7, Community was the real safety net. Although children were given freedom, they were never truly alone. Neighbors watched. Shopkeepers noticed. Older children guided younger ones. If something serious happened, word spread quickly. Not through social media, but through front gardens, open windows, and conversations across fences. Everyone knew everyone, or at least recognized them. That shared responsibility created something rare today. A sense that childhood did not belong only to parents, but to the entire community. Chapter 8. Mistakes were teachers when a child got into trouble. Consequences were local. A parent didn't yell from afar. They listened, waited, and delivered a simple line. Well, you won't do that again, will you? Punishments weren't endless lectures. They were reminders. And often the worst punishment wasn't losing privileges, but disappointing someone whose approval mattered. Children grew not by being protected from the world, but by being trusted to handle it. Chapter 9. The moment childhood felt different by the late 1980s and early 1990s, things began to change. Cars filled the streets. Technology entered homes. Schedules became structured. Freedom narrowed. Slowly, childhood moved indoors. Playtime became planned. Parents watched more closely. Risk became something to avoid, not overcome. And while safety increased, something else quietly slipped away. That feeling of standing outside with a whole day ahead, limitless, unsupervised, unplanned. A time when the world felt enormous, and yet somehow entirely reachable. Conclusion, a different kind of childhood for those who lived it. That era wasn't perfect, but it was unforgettable. A time when independence was earned early. When childhood was built through freedom, exploration, and community. A time when ordinary streets became entire universes, and the greatest adventures happened close to home. This was the Britain that raised itself. Not because parents didn't care, but because they believed the world could teach just as well as they could. And for many, it did. If this brought back memories, share them in the comments. Tell us where you played, who you ran with, what freedom felt like. Because these stories aren't just nostalgia. They're part of Britain's living memory. Thank you for watching. And don't forget to subscribe for the next chapter of Britain Remembered.